Hey everybody, so I just wanted to go ahead and give you guys a more nuanced description of something that I kind of sort of mentioned in each of these episodes. So for the next three roasts, there is a Vecna roast, a Legion roast, and a Deathslinger roast, and these will be my last three Roast My DBDs for a while. The Roast My DBD channel has been locked for now, and the reason for this is because I am literally on the cusp of starting my job. I have finally broken through all of the mountainous amounts of red tape that it requires, and so with that being said, I don't know what my upcoming schedules are going to look like, and so I don't want people to pay for these roasts just to submit them and then have them sit on a shelf for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks. So until I fully understand what I'm looking at and what I'm going to be doing and what my schedule is going to be, I'm locking this down for now just to stop people from wasting their money, because you guys do pay for this at the end of the day, which is exceptionally amazing to me. I can't believe people pay me to coach them. So I just wanted to let you guys know that it is going on a brief hiatus. This will be the last three episodes of this series for about a month or two, give or take. Hopefully it won't be that long, but that's just what I want to look at right now. And once I have a schedule going and I have something started, I can hopefully not only bring this back, but also look at bringing back things like the Rate My DBD and other things like that. So I hope you guys enjoy these roasts, and yeah, I just wanted to let you know that, and I'll see you in the next one. Welcome everyone to one of the last Roast My DBDs, at least for a while. After the next three Roast My DBDs, counting this one, I'm going to be taking a hiatus from Roast My DBD for a bit while I get into my job. So if you go to submit for a Roast My DBD and you don't see the channel, it's because I've locked it, which I'll be doing after we record these three. So just keep that in mind. Anyway. Today, up on the chopping block, we have Bogus. Bogus has 3,945 hours. They said, in this Vecna game, I think I might have failed in the macro gameplay, although probably fucked up more than that. Got a 2K overall. Also, before you begin to wonder why the audio goes in and out, it's because if I talk, I shut up along with the rule of no commentary. Basically muted myself in spots where I spoke on stream, but my stupid ass recorded it on the same track as game sounds, so couldn't mute it separately. Also couldn't resist from making a stupid... Yeah, I noticed the thumbnail. That's this is just what Bogus does. That's just Bogus. So, you're on Mount Ormond, which is honestly just a pretty dog shit map for killer in general. Probably one of the hardest things that you're going to find yourself running into when it comes to Mount Ormond is just the absurd amount of pallets that exist. I call it Mount Pallet Ski Resort. Because there's a pallet between every pair of rocks. Every pair of rocks has a pallet, which is a pain in the ass. However, the good thing is because of the shortness of the rocks, in other words, they're not as wide as Vecna, you have a lot of insta-tech opportunities that are a lot harder for the survivors to dodge, as well as, of course, you have your mage hand. But let's take a look at your add-on and your perks. Okay, so you're running the Pearl of Power spell storing ring, which is good. That's your bog standard best add-on combo for Vecna. Just results in lower cooldowns for your spells. Then you're running Pain Resonance, which is a good perk. Bamboozle. I'm not going to say Bamboozle is bad on Vecna, because it's not. It's just not one of the perks that I go to personally. Monitor and Abuse for a little bit of stealth, which isn't bad. And then Blood Favor, which is hand down Vecna's best perk. I would personally take out the Bamboozle and replace it with Crowd Control, and then replace the Monitor and Abuse with Undying, so you can protect the Crowd Control and the Blood Favor. But if you don't want to do that, I would replace maybe either the Monitor or the Bamboozle with Undying, just so you can protect the Blood Favor. But overall, it's not that big of a deal. I love how YouTube says that we're watching this in 1080p, but this is so obviously like 340p. Reminds me of when I was a little kid getting sent dick pics on a flip phone from people who were way older than I was. Don't do it! Alright. It's time for the lesson again. So I've talked about this on several occasions, but one of the biggest problems that people have on this map is knowing whether or not to break this door. This door should never be broken, and I'm going to explain to you why. So, if you break this door, then this allows the survivors to have basically a near infinite loop, right? Because you break this door, they go in, they take the window right here, right? They take this window, and then they can just run back around up the stairs, or they can run around the other way. But if you don't break this door, if you leave this alone, then when they come down, they have to immediately take a longer route to get to this window. So it's just kind of pre-planning in you're just pre-planning everything. So yeah, don't break this fucking door. Don't ever do this. But you're gonna do it anyway, so now main building is infinitely stronger for the survivors. In no reality does she get hit by those. So, one of the biggest problems, right? This is a problem that normally happens with range killers in general, is a lot of people like to just, look how long you hold this Flight of the Damned for. Watch this, right? 130. You hold this Flight of the Damned for almost 2 seconds. That is an insane amount of time to hold on to that. She should have been able to duck this and keep running. Like, in no reality should she have ever gotten hit by this Flight of the Damned. When you're using literally any ranged killer, just holding your shots like that is a real good way to never hit a shot again. But you hit her, and so now she's just kind of like, this Sable is lost. She needs a fucking map, honestly. Somebody get Sable a map, please. Hello? You can't see my face because I don't have my camera on, but I'm glaring at you with the disappointment of a grandfather who just witnessed his grandson masturbating to Andrew Tate videos. That was one of the dumbest interactions I've ever witnessed in the history of Dead by Daylight. Because, like, I'm not even mad that you were masturbating to a man, right? I don't care. It's the fact that it was Andrew Tate that you're masturbating to that disturbs me. Right? Like, I feel like you could do better, son. That's what I'm saying. Would you select the mage hand because you thought it looked pretty? You were like, ah, the pink hand looks really, really pretty. I enjoy the pink hand. Why does everything you do have a delay? Hey, what's up, SZA? Why does everything you do have a delay? Like, I don't know if you've noticed this, but, like, every action you take has, like, this odd, like, it's like a half-second moment before you actually do it, right? Like, you see her vaulting the window, and it takes you a second before you actually go back around the wall, right? You see her going left. It takes you a moment before you go left to try to cut her off. You did this earlier. You'll select a spell, but then it takes you like a half second before you actually use the spell. Like there's all these little like mini hesitations going on that I think that like I don't think you realize it adds up how much it does, right? Because like all these 0.5 second, 0.5 second, 0.5 seconds, those build up over the course of a match, right? And now you're just hovering on a spell that's on cooldown right now. This is just very, very interesting. Also, just a general streaming tip with your chat box here. Make sure you set your chat box to disappear after X amount of time. Just so you don't have the same messages just kind of sitting there for, like, basically ever. Like, this chat hasn't moved since you started the video. Since we started the video, it's been almost 4 minutes and it's still there. There's a little setting in every single chat thing that's just like, you know, disappear after, you know, 5. I think I have mine set to like 10 seconds or something like that. So that's just a general streaming tip. Has nothing to do with Dead by Daylight. It just looks nicer when the chat vanishes after a while. You see what I'm talking about? You see how you have like this constant hesitation? I think that a lot of your problems here is that you're not making decisions, or it's almost like you're second guessing yourself, right? Because like so far I haven't really seen any like overtly obvious mistakes. It's more of like every decision you make takes like multiple seconds for you to make it. So instead of just understanding what you should be doing at any given time, you're constantly second guessing yourself. And at almost 4,000 hours, you should have an understanding. You should have an understanding of what to do, who to go for. You know, should I go left? Should I go right? But you just don't seem to. You don't have an instinct that should have been built up in this time. So, does anybody, pop quiz, does anybody know the magic number for survivors to wiggle out when other survivors are taking hits? Does anybody know the magic number? If you don't know the magic number is 3. It always takes 3 survivors being hit or taking hits, 3 protection hits, for a survivor to wiggle out, assuming they start wiggle out the moment they can start. Even if you are directly at the hook, like let's say you pick them up directly under a hook, if 3 survivors take a hit, they will wiggle out every single time. It takes 15 total seconds for a survivor to wiggle out, or 16, sorry, unless they changed it, but it takes 16 seconds for a survivor to wiggle out, and if 3 survivors take a hit, they will wiggle out every time. So the reason I want you to keep that in mind is you down a survivor right next to a hook, you pick up that survivor, you hit 3 survivors, you're dropping the survivor you picked up. You purposefully went to a hook that was much further away for no reason, right? So you down her here. Now, I'm not saying walk through the pallet, but did you not see the big fucking white hook right here? You know what I'm saying? Like look at this. Like, do I need to draw you some fucking neon arrows? Like, I know you're gay, but you don't got to be blind too, brother. Okay? You should not have You should just, there's no reason for you to not go here. And I know what your thought process is, right? Your thought process is, let me go back to stop them working on that generator. But if you take 2 seconds to hook her here, that generator blows up. But instead, you go back this way. You hit her here. And then you decide not to go for this hook. You hit her again. This second hook is what caused you to drop her. But the bad decision started when you didn't hook her right next to where you were. So now you've lost out on several moments of pressure here. This Sable gets away. You go back to your slug. The Nicolas Cage is already healed up from what I assume is like a syringe or something. Now you get a pain res proc, but why didn't you just hook the Sable on that hook before? Because you had an injured Nicolas Cage right behind you. Now the Nicolas Cage is perfectly healthy. The Sable isn't on the hook anymore. Like, so let me break it down for you, right? In the scenario where you would have hooked the Sable, right? When you would have hooked the Sable, in that scenario, you would have had an injured Nicolas Cage. Let's just put an in with like a that through it, right? You would have had an injured Nicolas Cage, and you would have had a healthy Meg next to you. You hook the Sable, you go after the injured Nicolas Cage, you down him, you put him on a hook while the Meg is going for the save. You've got 3 survivors being busy right there. But instead, now you only have realistically 2 survivors being busy. Someone needs to go for this Meg, but they have 70 seconds on their hook timer. Like you're not creating enough of a presence for it to matter to any of them. And especially in the healing meta that we're currently in, you have to be very, very careful about how often you leave survivors alone. You see what I mean about your like decision making? Like you hear the gen pop, but you take like what's your DPI? You're playing on like 5 DPI. Just hit her. What, you want to fucking tickle her ass for a bit? Booty looking too good in those jeans, you just had to admire it? Just hit the bitch. Like, even if she has base kit borrowed time, you're forcing her to go mend. And now what? Now we're playing fucking ring around the pallets. Good thing she's a fucking moron and didn't try to take the vault. Because I haven't seen you lunge once this entire match. In Yu-Gi-Oh! And Magic the Gathering, there's something called hand shuffling that people like to do, where they'll take the cards in their hand and they'll constantly like flick them around. So like they'll like pile them up and just like flick them around while they're thinking. And after years of like high level players doing that as like a habit, a lot of low level players started doing it. And for some reason, they think that it makes them look like good, right? They think it makes them look good. You remind me of that when it comes to you playing Dead by Daylight. Like, you keep looking around with your camera because you see like a lot of high-level killer players doing it, but I don't think you understand why you're doing it, right? You're just looking around to look around, but you're not taking in any information. You're not doing it to confirm what you're looking for. You're just doing it to do it. And now you're gonna chase a healthy Nicolas Cage to Shaq for some fucking reason. Why are we going here? Why are we doing this? Average Nicolas Cage, man. I hate... My biggest pet peeve is when I point out what's an obvious mistake on the killer's part, and then the survivor player, like, does some dumb shit, and then it works out, and then people in the comments are like, actually, at this point, when you pointed out that the killer shouldn't have been doing this, they downed the survivor anyway, and so obviously you were just a big stupid head who doesn't know what he's talking about. But in reality, right, in the real world, where the survivors you're playing against have more than 5 brain cells, this is a bad fucking decision, right? There's no reason for you to chase a healthy survivor at Shaq when you have 1 generator left. That is just a terrible decision. Exactly, Gene. How did Meg die here? 7:28. Yeah, that was 70 seconds. That was over 70 seconds. She should be dying at 8:38. Fucking what, dude? You got a 2K because these survivors are jackasses. No, Polar, that's why we just checked the time. She literally lasted the entire 70 seconds. I wanted to make sure she didn't, like, miss a skill check, but no. She got hooked at 28 and died at 38 on the next minute. That's 70 seconds. They literally left her on there for 70 seconds. With 3 of them alive. See, it's the little things, right? It's the little things. Like here, we watch her go right, your camera flicks left, and then it flicks left like 3 more times before you turn to the right. Why didn't you just turn to the right? They just saboed a hook right behind you for some reason. Average Nicolas Cage, man. Good job dropping right here. That was actually a good decision. I don't know what Nicolas is doing. I'm gonna be so for real, this should have been a 4-man out. No, this is actually a genuine crash out. This is, I don't know what was said here, but this is a genuine crash out. Because this is obviously the other Meg that died. Like, in no reality do you get a 2K here without the survivors being total dipshits. And like, normally when I say that, people are like, oh my god, why are you being mean to the survivors? You're supposed to be roasting the killer. But like, you need to understand when you win because of genuine good plays, and when you win because the survivors fucked up. Like, every single fucking survivor in this match played poorly. Every single one. All 4 of them played poorly. And in a reality where Meg gets saved in a reasonable time and the Nicolas Cage stops standing still in front of you for some fucking reason, you lose, right? Like, they get the 4-man out here. In any situation where these survivors have more than 3 collective brain cells, you lose, like 110%. And because of that, unfortunately, it's very difficult for me to tell you what you did wrong without it seeming like really weird criticisms. But if I'm going to be completely honest with you, here are your biggest issues. Number 1, you hesitate entirely too much. You do not play off of any kind of instinct, which is interesting. I'm not sure why, but you basically have no instincts about what you should be doing. There's a lot of like tiny little things that you do where you hesitate for like a half a second, or you'll see a survivor and not be sure, or you'll pick up a survivor 2 feet from a hook and not go to that hook for some reason. Like you make a lot of mistakes that by this point in your game time should be instinctual. So I would honestly, if I were to tell you what to do, is to go back and practice your fundamentals, right? Understand simplistic things like go right when the survivor goes right. Stop looking left. You know what I mean? Like you just, it was so bad. There's honestly more to talk about on the survivor side than there is to talk about on your side, because all your mistakes are just basic fundamental things that you should know better already, while all of their mistakes were like some of the biggest flops in history. So yeah, if I'm being completely honest, you need to go back and practice your fundamentals, bury a couple of just like common sense shit into your brain, and you'll probably do a lot better.